Yesterday on the show, we did not spend enough time on Greg Cody's analysis of being in a grocery store and taking long, hard looks at suspicious people or people he deems to be suspicious. The thing we didn't spend enough time on, though, is Stugotz saying he would defend himself with a head of lettuce.
Whatever's closest, I mean.
Well, but somebody did write in, and I don't think this one's going to be beaten. The best thing to throw in a grocery store at somebody who's threatening you is a jar of pickles. That's the single best thing to throw. I defy anyone to come up with something better.
No, I think it is. You want to be in the canned goods aisle. That's where you want to be. But I was just saying, if I'm in the vegetable aisle, you got to grab something.
That's right.
And if it's a head of lettuce, it's a head of lettuce.
The pickle jar can be a little awkwardly shaped, though. Like a good can of soup, I feel like fits in my hand.
Yeah.
Better than a little too bulky. It's almost like the difference between throwing a softball. Like a baseball, I can really get my fingers around. The pickle jar is more softball-y.
I understand what you're saying. That's why some people argue on behalf of tomato paste that you would throw it a bit like a frisbee. No, but the problem with that as an answer is you get one shot at it. You hit and you got to make contact, and that's all you get. Whereas a pickle jar, if you get the contact, you also get the shattered remains. You get juice all over the floor. You get
very disorienting.
The whole thing is something that can take an intruder or someone who's threatening and really throw him or her off kilter a number of different ways.
I'm also imagining Greg Cody doing this before that person has revealed themselves to be a threat, so he's just sort of suspicious. He's like Tom and Jerry stepping on his toes
he
to
just
get there,
throws it.
and he sees someone suspicious, and he just chucks a jar of pickles at someone's head.
When Greg Cody tiptoes, is he walking on his toenails or on his actual toe?
Oh.
Put it on the poll,
It's a
please.
great question.
Juju at LeBatard Show. When Greg Cody tiptoes, is he walking on his toenails?
I imagine when my dad walks, it's like the Velociraptor with just like that extra nail.
Really digs in. Yeah.
You also get the grossness of the sticky pickle juice. If you haven't disarmed or disabled the intruder, you've just made it unpleasant. The pickle juice isn't going to feel very good once it shatters.
But the head of lettuce does nothing.
Nothing, really. But you were just grabbing the thing closest to you that you could throw. The head of lettuce is accomplishing nothing. That is correct.
If you're in that aisle, though, is there a better option than the head of lettuce? Like
almost anything, I think.
Really?
I mean, just a zucchini would be harder.
I think you're right.
Cucumber.
Are we talking like romaine? And is this a Napa cabbage? What kind of lettuce are we even throwing here? Radicchio?
Iceberg.
Where's the sack of apples in this game? I feel like if I chucked a sack of apples at somebody, that could do some damage.
Gotta be a sack, though.
Are you doing it like a chain? Are
Would
you
you
whipping
throw
it
it
over your head?
Oh, wow.
And you're using it like a chain that you're gathering momentum on?
Or am I doing like Will Ferrell and Elf, and I'm taking the apples one by one and just chucking them just ripping it open and just getting like 10 and like in 20 seconds.
We did say you're only allowed to take one item, and if you're gonna only take one item like that, then a bag of apples is good. But is it better in terms of volume than a pack of limes or lemons? Because now you've got even more bulk. You've got twice as many you're throwing.
But I feel like apples have a greater chance to incapacitate than a lime.
What if I'm swinging 2 sacks of apples in each of my hands, and I'm just like nunchucks?
It's not going to work. I mean, I appreciate the effort and the visual, but...
I mean, this is obvious. Just pick up an orange, throw it with accuracy and ease. You could get that guy up to 100 yards away in the grocery store.
I feel like anything that requires you to lean back and like generate some power is not good for this. It's got to be quick toss, baseball, like a shortstop flinging it over to first. That's what you need. So it's got to be like small projectiles, like oranges, apples.
Wow. Chris Cody
small
just
cans.
crow-hopped over second base.
Yeah, you're the middle infielder turning a double play all of a sudden.
He did the neighborhood play on the second base bag and just started hurling apples while, incidentally, also doing nunchucks with bags of apples. I don't know where he's getting the third hand to reach in, but he's an amazing menace as an apple throwing weapon.
So you're thinking of that like medieval torture weapon, and it's like a rod, and then there's like a ball with spikes at the end.
Yes, and Dan is swinging it around.
I just looked that up, and that never existed in real life.
Is that right?
That was an invention.
Get out of here.
It says it never existed. Wow.
And how do we define this? Is it a ball with spikes at the end? At the end of a chain?
It's called a flail. Yeah.
And it never existed? It's just something in the movies?
No, I guess it's just something that we made up. Like, I listened to a podcast once that I think I referenced on this show that was about how a lot of, like, the medieval torture devices that we think about were all made up and, like, never actually used in the Middle Ages. And I think this falls in that category. Like, this is something that we romanticized about the medieval times after they passed, just to be like, wow, look at all these savages. They were nasty people, weren't they?
I'm not sure that that's the right verb when choosing a chain with a ball and spikes at the end. I don't think of romanticizing that. But you're saying it's fiction.
This is made up, apparently.
I'm stunned by that. I don't do, our show doesn't do much in the way of teaching or learning. I have learned something today. I did not know that
I learned a lot on this show. Like, who not to trust in this room?
What happened? Did something recently happen?
Why'd she look at me?
She did look at you.
She did look right at you.
She turned, and what happened? Did something happen that is worth mentioning, or we're going to skip past it?
No, just in general, really. Nothing new to report here.
Okay.
The other thing that I think we did not cover enough yesterday, before the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, because I was thinking about this on the way in with Stugotz. How furious would Stugotz be if he were Ed Kelsey, father of the Kelseys, and Donna was getting all of the publicity? If you were the dad and it can only be one of you in the family sitting next to Goodell, sitting between Goodell and Damar Hamlin, I want you to imagine Stugotz in this circumstance where he doesn't get to make the rounds as much as Donna does, because it's such a more wholesome visual image. Donna Kelsey and mom, America's football mom, sitting next to the commissioner, selling moms love football too. Never mind that you're seated literally next to somebody almost killed by the sport.
I think now, I'm thinking about this, Dan. I'd rather be the dad than the mom. I think the mom was bothered that she had to sit next to Roger Goodell. I'd rather sit there by myself, perhaps with friends and family, and watch my two children play in the Super Bowl than be forced to sit with Roger Goodell. The place I'd get upset is she is getting all kinds of endorsements that he is not getting.
I was talking about all of it, not just the sitting next to Goodell.
I mean, the money would hurt.
Thinking about the money.
They're married.
The money would hurt. Yeah,
they're married though. Like, aren't you one team? Like,
joint bank account. I'm with
Talk
Dad.
To me in 10 years.
I'm with Dan though about the dad, because we like to again romanticize moms, sports moms.
Offshore kids.
But let's give one up for the dads, right?
Yeah.
Here's to dads.
Yeah.
Here's to the sports dads.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ed Kelsey.
Yes.
Salute to you.
Yep.
Put it on the poll,
Bruce
please.
Kittle.
Juju, put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Is Ed Kelsey insane with fury, jealousy, and rage that Donna is getting all of the publicity? I don't know why Stugotz has them divorced in 10 years. I don't know.
That was weird.
Why he questioned the future of their marriage.
Projecting.
I'm just saying,
I think that was at me saying, like, I'll have a different attitude about the bank accounts in 10 years.
Yeah, you might have an offshore account. I mean, you never know. Cayman Islands.
Donna Kelsey has an offshore account.
You have to have it in the Cayman Islands, though. It's a rule.
It is. It is the sketchy of the places, is it not? When I tell you somebody has money in a place, if I say Cayman Island, put it on the poll, please, Juju. Are the Cayman Islands the Stugotz of islands?
Thank you.
What's more? What brings more suspicion? Cayman Islands or Switzerland?
Ooh, wow.
I think it's the Caymans. Like I think the Caymans. I don't believe it's an actual island with residents. I just think it's P.O. boxes and shell companies.
I'm fairly certain that's what Delaware is to the United States.
Has anyone ever been to the Cayman Islands?
No.
Not here. Nobody here has been to the Cayman Islands.
Sure, they're Cayman Islands.
My money has.
Touche.
Did you guys see Ed anywhere? Because I didn't see Ed.
He must not have wanted it. I was thinking about this. Like, Donna got an advertising deal with Sleep Number.
Yeah.
We were pitched Donna Kelsey on behalf of Sleep Number. I got an email that said, "Do you want Donna Kelsey on behalf?" And like Ed Kelsey must have had some other corporation that was willing to give him an endorsement deal. He was probably offered a joint appearance on Good Morning Football. He probably is just a little bit more private and doesn't want to do interviews. And I imagine he was offered all the same things and just didn't want it.
It's a heady play on his part. She does all the work. He makes the money too.
How many seats down was he on that row though? I'm just imagining like this is the row. This is the big row.
They
here.
zoom out a little bit.
We have
He's just on the
Donna.
8th
We have
row.
DeMar, and then like 7 people down. There's little Ed over there just waving like, "Hey, how's it going?"
I'd love the audience to complete the row. And what they were trying to do in marketing when they got together in a brainstorming meeting, because the decision was made, Stugotz, they know it was the 3rd most watched Super Bowl ever. Somehow the thing keeps growing. Whittingham covers this and many other things with Skipper and Sampson today in what I believe to be the best sports business podcast you will find anywhere for expertise. But what does the rest of that row look like when the NFL's people get together and they decide, okay, we've got to surround Roger Goodell with, when we go to this one shot, the one shot of who's sitting with Goodell, who's sitting next to Goodell, who are the people we put next to him. I also feel for Goodell. I'm guessing he just wants to watch the game too and doesn't want to get saddled with a bunch of strangers that are PR points, that he'd like to enjoy just some hot dogs privately with some of his friends.
Do we think that DeMar Hamlin and Mama Kelsey are there the entire time? Or do we think they're there for the rehearsed shot, the cutaway to the booth in the first quarter, and then somebody says to him, "All right, you can go now"?
I mean, wouldn't you want to sit in a box with drinks and not like out in the open?
I'm sure they have a nice setup wherever it is that they were supposed to be.
You think they're that much as props, though, that they're just being brought in for the appointed time on television where you're sitting next to the commissioner so we can televise to the people that the commissioner is sitting with you?
It's probably more casual than that. It's probably like, "Hey, we'd love to have you in the first quarter. Come say hi to Roger." And it's like, "Now come sit right here, guys. Just watch the start of the game here. We definitely are not going to just show this. We don't have it set up ahead of time that we're going to show this picture. Go ahead, just sit here. You can sit here." No. DeMar sits there. Yep. Okay, good.
The whole thing.
Now smile.
The whole event is a rehearsed television show. Like it's barely a sporting event. Other than the actual game, that everything is from second one to the second it ends has been rehearsed over and over again. They know exactly when the cutaway to Goodell is happening. They know when to put Donna Kelsey and DeMar Hamlin
So
in there.
you're saying Donna's not sitting there the entire time?
0% chance.
She's sitting with Ed?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and probably in row 12 behind the
Well, not
Chiefs
10
bench.
years from now. Not 10 years from now. They're not going to be sitting
Different
together.
story. Yeah, yeah.
But at this particular game, they were sitting next to each
There's
other.
definitely a producer with like a headphone in, like, okay, cutting 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, we're good. Come on.
Guys,
everybody
DeMar
go.
has sat down. DeMar has sat down.
There's
Cut,
for
take camera
for
forward
sure.
now.
All right, we're good. We're good.
Ed's
Let's go.
watching this game at a bank in the Cayman Islands. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's also this. This is incredibly reckless, but as someone with an old
Well,
white
hold on
dad,
a second. Well,
Hold on, we have
hold on
sound
a
for that.
second. Hold
Yeah.
on a second. You can't just say reckless
Time
things.
to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
now as someone with an old white dad, I know the move of let me keep this guy away from mics. That could have been going on this week. That's reckless. I don't know Ed Kelsey, but it could have just been who do I want? Mom's gonna do all the hits this week. Yep.
Really?
Don't need that. Nah, I don't want that noise.
Dad's a loose cannon. You think Ed Kelsey? You think they're protecting
Disparaging his name.
They're protecting the Kelsey name from clearly loose cannon Ed.
Old wild Ed over here, you know.
Donna can be trusted. We can give her a mattress endorsement. We can give her the shot
Wild Ed
next
Kelsey.
to her.
As long as we're on the cover of reckless speculation. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he comes out in front of a camera and starts talking about being anti-vax or something. You never know what's going to come out of the mouth of Ed Kelsey.
Right.
It's reckless speculation.
It could be a lot worse than that.
Well, you know.
He could just be like pro-Satanism, like full QAnon.
That's too reckless. Don't say
I think
that.
there's a difference there too,
ridiculous,
Dano. I don't know about
You've gone too
There's
far.
a difference between QAnon and Satanism, I think.
Sometimes those
Well,
are
not
together.
really.
Sometimes those. Man, Rihanna.
And here we are.
People were talking about Rihanna wearing all red and being a Satanist without, paying attention to the fact they've been wearing those hats for a few years. Everyone just stepped away from the
I
microphones.
regret bringing up anti-vax. I'm sorry.
Why? JJ Watt wants to be in that room.
Oh, he sent an email for sure. JJ Watt wanted to be
JJ
up
Watt
there.
was third with a bald eagle on his shoulder.
Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca guru. He wanted to be up there. Yeah.
Stugotz, they're talking about Derek Carr to the Jets and Derek Carr getting in the way of Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Derek Carr wouldn't cost you anything except money. Why are you shaking your head, Whittingham?
Well,
before Stugotz has even gotten to give us his opinion on whether or not he wants either of them as quarterback of the Jets.
Sorry.
I want Aaron.
But no, it wouldn't be getting in the way of Aaron Rodgers. I don't think the Jets would go get Derek Carr without getting an answer first from Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're going to do everything they possibly can to get Aaron Rodgers. They're waiting for the sensory deprivation thing to end. They'll get a call from Aaron Rodgers.
You run the risk if you wait the 4 nights, 5 nights, 6 nights, whatever it is, you run the risk of losing out on Derek Carr.
But let me
It was a great move by Carr. I mean, he's released. He could sign anywhere. And so you're kind of forcing the Jets' hand. Like, you want to wait 5 nights? For a guy who might come out of it and say he's going to retire?
To me, you just let it. To me, they have a fairly decent fallback option in Mike White. Mike White, I think if he was healthy for most of last year, like is sort of the level of quarterback play that would have gotten the Jets to the playoffs. And so I don't understand this significant drop off.
Tony, why are you shaking your finger at Chris
there's
Tony's
something
right.
going on around here, and I'm onto it.
Well, Whittingham is
Whittingham is carrying the water for somebody.
Is nationally and internationally Mike White's biggest advocate. You're carrying water for Mike White. Nobody thinks Mike White is the answer for the New York Jets.
I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm saying, is he not the baseline level of quarterback play that could have gotten them to the playoffs? Like, if you lose out on Derek Carr, is it devastating? No, Jimmy Garoppolo is also available. There are other quarterbacks available. And if everything else fails, if you go into next season with Mike White, last year with the Mike White at quarterback, they would have been a playoff team.
That's debatable. I don't think they would have been a playoff team. If you go into next season without Rodgers or Derek Carr, you're going into next season with Zach Wilson. You're not bailing on that yet. You're saying Zach Wilson is my quarterback.
Zach Wilson.
No, you have to. Witty, they selected him number 2 overall in the draft.
No,
So
I mean,
you're sinking
Arizona
further into the sunk cost?
Arizona got rid of Josh Rosen now. Arizona,
because they had Kyler Murray.
Well, they went and got Kyler Murray available under these circumstances with whatever the opportunities are in an offseason. The Jets aren't going to do that with a number 1 pick, but they can do that with free agency. They can move or a trade. They can move off of Zach Wilson, and they will for Aaron Rodgers, and they probably would for Derek Carr as well, because Zach Wilson was fairly close to incompetent, and the show me at that position has gotten fast forwarded now that you can get out from under the contracts or the cheaper contracts.
All fair points. I'm just, is Derek Carr good? I have no idea.
That's the best question. It's like, what is Derek Carr? I almost want to do the thing where we Chris Sims it and rank. Like, where does he rank? Tell me where Derek Carr is in all the quarterbacks.
In the last 2 years, he's had 47 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. It's not great. Is it good enough to get the Jets to the playoffs? Absolutely. Aaron Rodgers is good enough to win them a Super Bowl.
But it's not incompetent. Zach Wilson was incompetent.
I know.
Zach Wilson is the sole reason you weren't in the playoffs last year. His play, more than anything else, is what destroyed a young blueprint. And I can't believe that we're still doing this after 10 years of asking, are the Raiders for real? And never having an answer that was yes with conviction. Now we're asking it about their quarterback. Is Derek Carr merely good?
I think he's a teens quarterback. I think he's like in the 14 to 19 range.
But can you do that and win a Super Bowl? I mean, I know that.
What about 13? I'm sorry. Wait, let's go back. Why 14 and not 13?
No, it's 14. 14 and 19 is
13's too high.
Yeah, 13's too high.
14 feels right.
All right, I need it. Tony, rank all your
hold on, give me a
quarterbacks.
second.
We'll come back to you in a little bit.
Are you doing a top 13?
No, I'm gonna do 19.
Okay.
I'm gonna fit them in somewhere 14 and 19.
Also, we
Okay.
have to correct a massive
We got some things wrong.
glaring error from earlier in the show. The Kelsey parents have been divorced for years.
Oh.
So not one pot it's going into.
So still,
That
he's still
raises the
still
stakes
their
for
dad.
Ed.
He's still their dad, though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, like he doesn't.
Right.
That is
he
true,
didn't get any of
Dan,
this league
yes.
number money.
But I saw a quote. Jeremy showed me a quote of like why he wasn't in a big suite. He goes, "I'm a blue collar grunt. I'm in the stands."
Mm-hmm.
I might have been right.
Jessica makes the point, and it's a good one. She made me think of it yesterday when she says, well, why 14 and not 13 or 13 and not 14? You guys saw how LeGarrette Blount reacted to the back and forth between Juju Smith-Schuster and A.J. Brown? LeGarrette Blount, first of all, let me give people the backstory on what happened. So Juju Smith-Schuster puts out Happy Valentine's Day for everyone and puts out a photo of James Bradbury making fun of the Eagles defensive back who was caught holding. And with the Happy Valentine's Day, I'll hold you when it matters most. And a lot of people,
That's funny.
A lot of people found it funny, but a lot of people didn't. Football players didn't seem to find it funny. A.J. Brown certainly didn't find it funny. He wrote to Juju Smith-Schuster, first off, congratulations. You deserve it. This is lame. You are on your way out of this league before Mahomes resurrected your career on a one-year deal, TikTok boy.
That last line.
No, people are saying TikTok boy is an insult, but I love TikTok. I like guys, so I don't know if that's that big of an insult to me.
But it was meant as one to him, and I'm assuming, Jessica, is this about Juju Smith-Schuster using TikTok a lot, or is it about
Yes.
that milk crate thing that he did a long time ago?
That's all one and the same. So when Juju was on the Steelers, I mean, he was drafted into the league when he was super young, and he was like one of the most active TikTok users in the NFL. Probably still is.
Probably word association. If you say football player that does a lot of TikToks,
It's Juju.
Yeah, he's the one that you think of.
Yeah, exactly. He's very active on social media. The milk crate thing was one of the things that people noticed because it looked like he could have gotten seriously injured doing it, and it was kind of stupid and goofy like a lot of those types of challenges on TikTok. But yeah, it's exactly what Chris said. It's a word association. Juju likes doing TikTok dances. People used to criticize him when he was on the Steelers all the time for doing TikTok dances like before games, and it was like, oh, this is such a distraction. And I thought it was kind of goofy because like that's just what the younger generation does on their phones.
Right. TikTok is kind of in this weird space now where it's like the people that do it are like, yeah, I do that. It's cool. And
It's
the people
just
that
like,
don't do
yeah.
it are like, you're a like, you know, it's just like, it's in this middle
You're a
zone of
child.
like people
Yeah.
that aren't in it think it's something like, oh, that's a good cut down I just did on you. You're a TikToker. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah, it's like one of the most
not old.
downloaded apps in the entire globe, for better or for worse.
You don't think it's an insult, but he meant it
No, it
clearly.
isn't. It's obviously an
as-
insult. I'm just saying, like, yeah, haha, TikTok.
It sounds like a very out of touch insult for me. I mean, that's like TikTok boy. Although I imagine that probably resonates within the NFL. To me, that sounds like, oh, you're an old man.
you
Even though-
Instagrammer.
right? Like AJ Brown is not
Facebook
old, but
guy.
he sounds old.
So Juju's taking that as a compliment?
Facebook guy would honestly be a more more
MySpace
insulting.
guy.
that would be an
MySpace guy,
insult. That
right.
would be embarrassing.
How is AJ Brown?
Napster guy.
Instant messenger guy.
Let me read the entirety of this, though, because this is a shit sandwich that A.J. Brown is putting out there. It's a shit sandwich. First off, congratulations. Y'all deserve it. This is lame. You were on your way out of the league before Mahomes resurrected your career on a one-year deal, TikTok boy. He admitted that he grabbed you, but you act like you're like that or ever was. But you act like you're like that or ever was. But congrats again. And then 3 emojis.
But congrats again. It's
Yes.
just a funny.
A great shit sandwich. But then 3 emojis, too, of like a couple of beers, hands clapping, and fireworks as well. And right in the middle of it, that sentence that that is meant to cut. And LeGarrette Blount comes in and says of Juju, 172 yards in 6 games, Super Bowl included, and no touchdowns. Who held you then? Don't be a dickhead. And my question to you is, was Juju's 7th game a really good game? And LeGarrette Blount just went in and took the last 6 to make it 172 yards and no touchdown.
I sure hope so.
I'm guessing he had to look that up, and I'm guessing
he game logged him.
I'm guessing that he game logged. He didn't know off the top of his head, and I'm guessing that 7 games ago, Juju put up a monster, and he just said 6 games.
10 catches, 88 against Houston. The game before was 9 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown.
What a
the
great
convenient
job.
prop.
Ooh, I love statistics. This is why I love stats. You could just say anything.
He should have responded. What about the last 8? Huh?
There you go. Argument 1.
Just lower the crop on your screenshot that little bit more.
The thing that I wanted to ask you when I saw this break out, though, is you guys imagine the majority of people side where in this back and forth? Because it's rare although less rare than it's ever been in social media, for guys to go back and forth this publicly and this way immediately after the championship. And I found that more and more what I see is a whole lot of people interested in laughing, but then a whole lot of other people defending someone from the laughter. And I wonder which is the majority. Because one of the things many people are pointing out is that Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled at the end of a game against the Saints and said it haunted him, and you cost your team the entire thing. You would think that he would know not to drag somebody who feels already bad enough. But your choices here on Bradford are to feel for him or to mock him. It was the same with Osai, right? It was the same when he cost them a season. There were a lot of people who defended him like they just felt bad. Get the camera angles out of there. Why is everybody on his face at the end of that game? And so which is it? Where's the majority? Because you got to choose a side on this, right? You can't be in or out. You either have to be somebody who wants to mock and treat these people like they're a joke even in their worst moments or when they feel bad, and you're not used to an athlete doing it because an athlete would generally know better. An athlete has been there before.
And you also have the aftermath of a team winning a championship, which so often, like normally this thing, the taunting the opposition, would happen at a parade when someone is several alcoholic drinks in on a stage and shouts something ridiculous to taunt their opponent. And that seems to be an acceptable form of this taunting. But for whatever reason, when it spills onto social media, people have a different reaction to it. But I don't think most people were having a go at James Bradberry for committing that holding penalty. They were discussing the merits of the holding penalty. There wasn't a lot of criticism for him, although I imagine he probably feels like shit and felt like shit when he told the public that I did that.
It's not great to be him in Philadelphia.
No, but you have a guy who has admitted to the holding penalty. Like, yeah, I did that. They should have thrown the flag. And then if you're Juju Smith-Schuster, you have the admission, plus you won the game. Like, you need to rub it in more. I kind of side with the Eagles
a funny
here.
Valentine's
like, hey, we
Day
lost.
It was a Valentine's
It's
Day.
not
meme.
funny if you're Bradberry, though.
I feel like, maybe not, but I just feel like he can look at that and be like, oh, that stinks, but that's kind of funny. Like, it can be both. It doesn't have to be the far extremes. It could be, right. I deserve that. I did that. It's the biggest event in all of sports.
I'm glad that Juju did it, but he doesn't have to do it.
Juju lives online. Like,
right.
That's the thing. Like, Juju loves this kind of... Juju's dog has a very well-updated Instagram, all right? Like, Juju does social media. This is what he does.
That excuses everything?
No, I'm
all
just saying.
Jujus are good at social media. It's just a thing.
That's like his sense of humor. Like, that's what he likes to have fun, and at the expense of the other player, obviously. But I think, I don't know. I'm a fan of Juju Smith-Schuster, so I'm obviously biased here. But I think it was kind of funny. Yes, it was mean. It was a cheap shot, but I don't think it was the absolute worst thing he could have ever done.
I don't think, of course, it's not that, but I don't think Bradberry's much in the mood for anyone making jokes of any kind or at his expense.
You gotta deal with it.
It's 2 days after the Super Bowl, guys. It sucks. LeBron was in hiding for how long after that Dallas Mavericks championship?
But
2 months?
But being sensitive about a joke in football, the ultimate thing is scoreboard. The
Yeah, but
Eagles
Juju
lost.
has that already.
The Chiefs won.
But he has scoreboard.
I know, but the Chiefs
Now
won.
he's rubbing it in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes
He's rubbing it into a guy who said...
Sometimes championship teams rub it in. LeBron James had a Halloween party in which the whole theme was the funeral of the Warriors.
That's true.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, wait, so AJ Brown's never taunted anyone in his life? Come on.
He also has a TikTok, AJ Brown page.
Let me ask all of you in this room.
Paige came last there.
Yeah, I just figured it out. Super Bowl week.
You are James Bradbury. Who in this room, other than Whittingham, is doing what Bradbury did? Because Bradbury...
I'm not holding Juju there.
Bradbury could have very easily stoked the content mill for 3 days by saying you can't call that there. That's not a hold. I deny that I held. I did that also in the first quarter, and they didn't call it. It was the same kind of thing. I think it was the same people. I think it was Smith-Schuster running on a third down, running a slant, getting held, being interfered with. It didn't get called.
It was worse.
The Chiefs had to punt. How many of you, raise your hand other than Whittingham, how many of you would say, yeah, I held there?
I would take it to the grave denying
Some
it.
players would say that even if they didn't think they held, though. Like, that's just the way some people are with, like, I'm going to take responsibility for this. Sirianni, both those dudes were so classy. I feel like that isn't being, this was Mina's take on NFL Live. Like, they should be being celebrated for how classy they were with handling that call. They weren't doing what we're doing and like, oh, who should be fired? They're like, a lot of plays in the game. I held it. Like, I thought it was really cool how they handled it.
So this is like that terrible Foundations for Better Life commercial. The ball went out on me, coach.
Yeah, that's what Whittingham was saying. He was celebrating Bradbury for being an American hero, for being the manifestation of that commercial in real life. That has gotten nothing in terms of credit for Bradbury.
Still got him mocked.
Other than Nina Kimes, that's it.
On the other side of the argument, though, there was 0 defensive holding calls in that game, and that's the call that's like, we've let him play the whole game. No
It's
defensive holding calls.
Yeah.
This is where, that's the part. Like, I get the whole argument for a lot of plays in the game. That's not, but when you hear there was not a single defense, and that's the one they called, I'm pissed if I'm an Eagles fan.
Beyond that, though, if I'm Bradbury, and that's going to be what my offseason has in it and my sleepless nights in it, I think my instinct would be to be enraged that all of that has fallen on me. I don't think the instinct of most human beings...
But it doesn't fall on him. Like, the Eagles made other mistakes in this game, and they even if they didn't call it, it's not like the Eagles were ahead at that point. They still would have had to go and score. Like, this, it wasn't the same as the Osai
You're correct,
hit.
but that's not how it's being
wasn't.
discussed, though. That's not... the only reason we know Bradbury's name today is because he's associated with this.
That's not true, Dan.
He's
a very good defensive back in that great defensive backfield.
That doesn't get you well known.
I never heard of him.
Yeah. I never heard of him either.
That's on you guys. That's on you guys.
Tony, he's not a huge name.
He's a really good corner. He's a really good corner, guys.
The reason we're talking about him today is not because he's a really good corner.
How much did we talk about him this entire season?
We didn't talk Eagles secondary, guys. Sorry, we're not that show.
Exactly.
It's a very specific thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but maybe Tony's been talking about him privately with his friends.
Smart football people are saying.
Yeah.
We know James Bradbury.
Look,
I also have Derek Carr listed if you guys want that.
Oh, I am ready.
Very exciting.
All I'm saying about Juju, to bring it back, yes, what he did was mean. Was it justified? No, probably not. But it wasn't the worst thing ever. And AJ Brown is 100% justified in coming back at him and calling him TikTok boy. Like, that's all fair game. It wasn't mean and nasty. There was nothing like offensive involved. Like, it was just a internet exchange.
It was fun social media beef.
Exactly.
Nice little banter after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you're Juju Smith-Schuster. They didn't win a Super Bowl because of you. AJ Brown helped get that team to the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear about it.
I mean, he had a lot of catches in that
plug
third
in a
quarter.
wide receiver. They just proved you plug in wide receivers, you still win a Super Bowl. Juju Smith-Schuster could have been 1,000 different names, different wide receivers.
Not 1,000, maybe like a handful.
And the Chiefs still win the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear about it from him.
We're not talking about whether A.J. Brown is better than Juju Smith-Schuster.
No
what
one's
I'm
arguing
talking about.
That. It's all. This is all fair game. And you could say rings, you could say scoreboard, you could say all of that. It's all fair game. It was like a Valentine's Day meme from a guy who lives on the internet. and AJ Brown came back and defended his teammate. And, like, that's all it is.
But when you say,
Fine.
Jessica, and your stopping point is, well, it's not the worst thing in the world. Of course, it's not the worst thing in the world. But my guess is there's not a whole lot worse in Bradbury's life right now than what the last couple of days have felt like for him. Like, maybe there is, but to him right now, it must not be easy to sleep at night because you have this next to your name.
I mean, I haven't seen people piling on him. I don't know if I'm just
Philadelphia Philadelphia's always cruel. I don't expect.
I think
Philadelphia's they're going after the refs.
I haven't seen a pile on Brett. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing it. I'm sure there has been a little bit, but I haven't seen like tremendous backlash.
I think this goes back to the Osai thing. I just don't think as a sports culture we really do that anymore. We don't make goats anymore, and we're far more likely to turn that into
scapegoats.
Well, I mean, so there's goats.
Because we make a lot of goats.
I know there's goats, capital all caps GOAT, like greatest of all time. But then there's like the old school goat, like Bill Buckner,
who's the reason
like
to blame.
Bill Buckner was a goat,
a scapegoat.
A scapegoat.
Yeah. No, a goat.
That's where it comes from.
I think you can drop the skate and say that person's just a goat. Am I right?
No, that's
if
Michael
we're
Jordan.
About like the origins of the word, I feel like it comes from being the scapegoat.
Put that on the poll, what? Juju. Call it.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I need to go back.
The original.
No,
it's not that Witty's not wrong.
And the goat.
Witty's not wrong. It's just age differences. They're before greatest of all time is an acronym.
Dan, he's 30. What do you mean age differences?
He's a million years old.
75.
He's not 30. He's 1 million years old. His skin covers up. If we unzipped his skin, you would find a mummy there. It would be tape and sawdust, and he's very
he's
old.
So upset right now.
He's also right on behalf of my generation that he now defends. Before greatest of all time, a goat was not a good thing. A goat was a bad thing, and I do believe the origins are scapegoat. I believe.
Yeah, it is. So the third definition on Merriam-Webster is scapegoat, sense two. So it became a synonym for scapegoat.
And when Bill Buckner was the goat, the negative goat, a lot of people made the same points of context, Jessica. Well, there were a lot of more game. There was more game to be played, more games to be played.
Wasn't it a tie game?
More innings to be played.
It's like Steve Bartman. Like it was game 6. We still had a whole game after that.
The Red Sox had a lead in game 7.
But he still hasn't been able to shake it, no matter the context of it. Like, it's something that for a long time made him not want to be in Boston for any reason. And I hope you're right, that in all the coarsening of America that's happened elsewhere, that in this one place, people are more gentle and softer and unlikely to create a goat. You're saying Whittingham...
But the place is Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, I am holding their past against them. Like, they were cheering what they thought was Michael Irvin's paralysis. Like, this is... This is a group that has earned
Dak Prescott for winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. They're booing charity
for being a good guy.
Famously booed Santa Claus as well when Santa was on the field.
Yeah, but the other team booed Unity though.
That's true. Yep. That's where we are. Those are your choices.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you come up with the theory though, Whittingham, that the GOAT is dead? That no longer can we have a sports GOAT. I feel like J.R. Smith was a sports GOAT when he forgot the score.
Yeah, I guess that was more stupidity than doing a bad thing. Like not knowing and that's also J.R. Smith's previous coming into the equation there. If J.R. Smith was Matthew Dellavedova, I'm not certain. And also LeBron James, like doing the hands thing, the all-time meme.
Didn't help.
Yeah. It probably didn't help either. Mm-hmm.
You're saying, though, I don't think a lot of people are arguing that the GOAT is dead, that we can't create sports GOATs anymore.
That particular GOAT is in decline. I won't say it's dead because
why,
you're right.
Though? How? Why and how would it be in decline? I would think people are meaner than they've ever been, and they would look for reasons to be mean so they can feel better about their own lives.
I mean, we just spent like 20 minutes on Travis and Jason Kelsey's dad, so yeah, I'm kind of with Dan on this one, but I think this is a little bit different. There's a little bit more nuance to this because the referees are taking the heat for making the call more so than the player who did hold Juju Smith-Schuster and admitted it. But we all saw it. It was kind of soft.
In some ways, this is the positive element of debate culture. Because what's the debate? Osai commits the roughing penalty on the sidelines. What's the take? That was bad. You screwed up.
Well, you lost the game. You cost them the season. You cost them a chance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you did a bad thing. What do you say after that?
Well, but I thought we enjoyed castigating anybody who did the bad thing, whether it's morally reprehensible, whether it doesn't align with our opinions, or the bad thing is the thing that we now celebrate. We got to turn content out of something, and it's a lot easier to do with the bad thing than it is with the good thing.
Are you guys telling me there are no more Nick Andersons? There's no more Scott Norwoods? We're not doing that anymore?
For example, at this moment, Ben Simmons is having a horrendous season. Like, he doesn't even
short-circuited.
Like, he is completely short-circuited. And yesterday I was listening to Zach Lowe talk about it, and he was like, at this point, I don't even want to talk about him as a basketball player. I just feel bad for him. I have empathy for Ben Simmons. I don't think, to reference your Nick Anderson point, I don't think in 25 years ago there would have been empathy for Ben Simmons. There would have been, what the hell happened? What,
totally, yeah.
Did you shorts, what, are you okay? What happened?
But this is why I'm asking as it relates to Bradbury. The reason I'm asking the question is because I've been surprised at the number of people rushing into the breach to defend the Osais and the Bradburys. Because in my experience covering sports, they are sport. They become sport in these circumstances. Give me a name. Give me somebody that I'm going to feel bad for them. I'm going to mock them. I'm going to associate their name with something bad and not feel bad about it at all. It's one of the reasons that I haven't liked the lack of compassion in general of the customer in sports that doesn't treat the human being like he's a human being. Because while Jessica says, and she's right, it's not the worst thing in the world, I'm guessing there's not a lot that has made Bradbury feel worse than that in his life. In his life, I'm guessing that there's not a lot of things that feel worse than him having his name, the family name of accomplishment that does the hardest thing of getting not just to the pros, getting the pros at that position in that sport. Congratulations, Bradbury. Tony knows you are. The rest of us associate you with holding on a call in the Super Bowl that decided the Super Bowl. It's not the excellence or the amazing things you overcame to get where you are that are celebrated. We know your name because you did the wrong thing.
I'm going to forget his name.